Could the Knicks and Jason Kidd actually happen? We'll discuss it coming up next on the DLLS Mavs podcast. Hey, what's up, DLLS Mavs Nation? It's your man, Kevin Gray, alongside Mavericks beat writer Tim Cato, Mavericks analyst Bobby Curler. We, of course, are DLLS Mavs. Could Jason Kidd and the Knicks actually get together? The latest when it comes to the Knicks' pursuit of the Dallas Mavericks head coach as well. Plus, we'll recap what happened in Game 1 of the NBA Finals between the Indiana Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Really appreciate all of you joining us here on this Friday afternoon here on DLLS Sports, as we've got a lot to talk about, gentlemen, on this Friday afternoon. Tim Cato, what's going on?
I don't know if there is a lead that I would like. If I'm up 70 points on the Indiana Pacers going into the fourth quarter, I would be scared out of my mind.
No lead is safe.
Yeah,
with the Indiana Pacers, Bobby Curler.
No lead is safe. KG Tim, I heard Jesse Hawley talk about this on DLS Cowboy Show right off the top, and I thought it's a great message. June is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. Mm-hmm. Obviously, women watch our show as well, but for this month, fellas, we go through a lot. Very high depression rates, very high rates of self-harm, very high rates of loneliness. If you need community, find it. If you need help, seek it. Go get some. You're not too strong for that. You're not weak if you do it. It's really, really, really important. So take care of your mental, take care of your emotions, take care of your family, take care of yourself.
That's a fantastic message to kick us off on this Friday afternoon. Shout out to Jordy in the chat. MFFL from Vegas. Happy Friday to my favorite Mavericks podcast.
Let's go.
Hell yeah. Let's
covering
go, Jordy.
My favorite team, Marc Stein, as Marc Stein gets his kick started today with his latest reporting on the Knicks' pursuit of Mavericks head coach Jason Kidd.
A maniacal Jeff Kavanaugh.
That's right. Shout out to our guy, Jeff Kavanaugh. And if you watch the DLLS Cowboys podcast, you could hear the stylist of Jesse Hawley and Jeff Kavanaugh in their show. Quote, the New York Knicks are expected to formally request permission to speak to Dallas Mavericks Jason Kidd about their coaching vacancy in the coming days, league sources say. That coming from our very own Marc Stein in his latest Substack, as the New York Knicks, their pursuit of Jason Kidd appears to be getting that much more charged up, Tim Cato, as the Dallas Mavericks, who have Jason Kidd under contract for the next couple of years with his contract extension. Obviously, a situation in New York that has Jalen Brunson, for now, Karl Anthony Towns, maybe Giannis at some point down the road. But things, according to our Marc Stein, now moving forward in another potential direction when it comes to this coaching search here.
I mean, you know why Jason Kidd has 2 years on his contract right now. You guys remember why he got the extension, right?
Because they had a good playoff run last year.
They had a good playoff run. But there was also...
we got to stop. Daniel Escobar comes in with
Daniel,
the golden super chat, the $100 super chat.
Let's go, Daniel.
Preach, Bobby. Everyone, please take care of your mental peace. Love you, fellas.
Daniel, you're a real one.
You're a real one.
What's up, Jesse? Daniel's spending that money today. Daniel came in, man. Daniel came in.
Let's go.
It matters, man. It matters so much. I know Jesse and Jeff on the Cowboy Show talk about mental health a lot.
That's right.
It is something that is a very, very, very important piece of my life, especially over the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
It is really, really extremely important. If you feel like you're struggling with anything, ask for help. You can find help really anywhere you look, and it will change your life for the better. I guarantee it.
Shout out to
really,
Daniel.
really thank you very much, Daniel.
Really appreciate you dropping in the golden super chat here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. I'm sorry, Tim. Go ahead. Continue.
No. That was the best possible interruption.
Yes.
For a very good cause. So the Lakers were interested in Jason Kidd and said it publicly. They, it went out to the media that they had interest in Jason Kidd when they fired Darvin Ham. They said they had interest in Jason Kidd and Ty Lue and in JJ Redick. Obviously, JJ Redick ended up being the person who they ended up hiring, but this was before Dallas had made it all the way to the finals. They were in the midst of a good playoff run and a good end to the season. But Dallas shut down that news. They gave him an extension right away. It was quick. It was just like that. It was Lakers are interested. Dallas extends head coach Jason Kidd. It was 1-2. The Knicks are very obviously interested, just like the Lakers are. We know that from the Knicks side, and really the only thing to say about the Knicks side is that they're interested. For the Mavericks side, I think it is very telling that this hasn't been shut down yet. I don't think that necessarily means Jason Kidd is going to leave, but you have to consider the possibility. Clearly, Jason Kidd is listening. He hasn't shut this down. He hasn't told the Knicks that he's not interested. It seems to some extent that Nico Harrison has not shut down the idea that they would entertain this. Whether that means that he would actually entertain it is one thing, but I think you can look at the working relationship between these two people and look at the circumstances here and intuit that, yeah, maybe it's not all copacetic. Maybe it's not all ideal behind the scenes. Not a huge shock if you've been paying attention the past few months, but that's the pretty clear takeaway from all this. Now, I think what's difficult is to know what Patrick Dumont would do about this situation, and this has been the difficulty this whole time. Does
he know?
But would he, even if Nico doesn't care one way or the other, even if Jason Kidd were interested in the Knicks offer and really wanted to pursue it, is this a situation where Patrick Dumont, who has been through all this turmoil and realized how much he didn't know, would he be in a situation where head coaches under contract don't move, they don't get traded? We'll get to that in a little bit, because that's the outcome this would almost certainly have to happen. This is not a one-to-one with Rick Carlisle, who did leave and go to the Indiana Pacers while he was under contract with the Mavericks. But this is a very different circumstance. This is a very different situation. If Dallas were to let Jason Kidd go, it would be in a trade. It would have to be. It would be outright. It would be outrageous to just go let a head coach walk. So,
but not unprecedented for Jason Kidd. This has happened to him before.
Yes,
this has specifically happened to Jason Kidd already once.
But if you're Patrick Dumont, do you look at the situation and say, oh, what we need is more weirdness surrounding this team? And is the situation one that Jason Kidd, a man under contract, would not come back under contract and coach the team if that's what you think is best? Now, you can make the argument again that if another team, in this case the Knicks, is willing to give you draft capital, that you should probably just take it. I still, my gut right now is still that this probably isn't. It may end in a 1-year extension, something like that. But we'll see. This is real. This is real on multiple parties, and it continues to show that everything behind the hood of the Dallas Mavericks as a franchise, as an organization, is not ideal, not perfect, remains not perfect right now.
Yeah, so we'll spin forward to how it could happen in the next segment, but right now, I feel like over the last couple of days we've done a decent job, patting myself on the back here, of laying out why the Knicks would want J. Kidd. I know that there are a lot of beleaguered Mavs fans that just are tired of watching no timeouts and think that they don't have a very creative offense or whatever, and that falls at J. Kidd's feet, which I guess technically it does, because no one else can call a timeout. I guess players can call timeouts. But anyway, if you got your problems with J. Kidd, I mean, clearly he is a coach that is in some level of demand, because the Knicks are reaching out to talk to him. And we've talked about some of the things he does well. Players, especially stars, love him, but even role players, supporting guys, depth guys, outside of Christian Wood, no player really seems to have had a problem with him and his decision-making. In Dallas. Yeah, in Dallas. But that's the important factor here.
Mm-hmm,
what happened 10 years ago happened 10 years ago, and it's very well chronicled, but there was a guy that played for him 10 years ago that still loves him to this day, and that's Giannis. Those connections are heating up as well.
Mm-hmm.
But first off, why would the Mavs be willing to move on from J. Kidd? And then also, why would J. Kidd have interest in the Knicks? I feel like we can get into the machinations in 5 or 7 minutes or whatever, but for the why would the Mavs be willing to let him go? I feel like, especially Tim, because so many of the fans believe that, and it was kind of presented this way, that Nico and Kidd were a package deal. They were brought here together. If that's true, then why would Nico let him go?
Well, the guy that brought them here in a package deal no longer is majority owner in Mark Cuban. Patrick Dumont doesn't necessarily have ties to really either one of Nico Harrison or Jason Kidd from a formal fashion in terms of him hiring both the president and head coach of this basketball team. If you're the Dallas Mavericks, if you believe that Jason Kidd wants to go somewhere else and feels like it's the best opportunity for him, in some ways you could honor that if you're the Mavericks and give him the opportunity to do so. Or if you feel like all the investments that you've made with bringing in Kyrie Irving, with bringing in Anthony Davis, that he is the best man to lead this team going forward, you should shut this down immediately and say, this is the guy that we believe will lead us not only through the Cooper Flagg era with him being here, but also gives us the best chance to win a championship. And not only are we going to not have him interview, we're also, as Tim suggested, give him another contract extension to show that our faith in him is what it is moving forward, because that could be a good show of faith to Jason Kidd, that he is the man here if you decide to give him another year or two on a contract extension.
But as asked in the chat by 214 cited, Jason Kidd was pretty much the week, like even days after Rick Carlisle chose to leave in 2021, Jason Kidd was going to be the Mavericks head coach. And people knew that. People had heard that. The Mavericks made a big deal about hiring Sportsology. You guys remember Sportsology?
Yes, I remember.
This
I remember that.
coaching and executive firm, and may have used. I mean, certainly employed them. But they had already chosen Jason Kidd, and Nico came along second. Now Nico was hired first. The press release went out first, and then Jason Kidd was brought on board. But no, they had a working relationship, and a big reason why Nico was selected, out of several reasons, was the idea that, him and Jason knew each other. So, but it was not Nico saying, this is the head coach I want. I don't think there was any issues the first few years. The power dynamic of who was really in charge has shifted a lot, and Nico certainly is the person running the ship in a way that he never could have under under Mark Cuban. But yeah, it wasn't the coach he hired. And, for Nico to come out and say, Jason Kidd didn't know about the Luka trade, but we talk all the time. I know what he wants. I know what his vision is for basketball teams. Jason Kidd has not shut this down. We've just been over this. Mm-hmm. Jason Kidd has not shut down the idea that, he would be interested in other, in this other job that is coming and pursuing him. So, is this a head coach who is excited to go into next season and coach the roster that is assembled for him? I think these are the questions that you got to be having. And if you get to the end of those questions and you're like, okay, maybe Jason Kidd doesn't like this roster. I don't know if that's true. I do not know. Clearly, when he was on our show a couple weeks ago, he seemed pretty excited about Cooper Flagg. I think that Cooper Flagg alone is a pretty good
and he
reason.
Also did say that he and Nico are, he said their relationship is as strong as it's ever been.
Is at a high.
Right.
At a high, yeah.
Yes.
Right. Which when you remember all that, when you hear all that, and then you frame it with this news, it's just sure interesting. It's very interesting. And the question is, like, is there, if Nico's in a situation where he looks around and, like, if you're Nico, would you look around and say, okay, there's actually coaches that match this vision of a roster that I've built better for this? Do we think that? I mean, it's a question that if you're in the Mavericks position, you should at least, I guess, consider it. If you think you had a coach under contract that you're not planning to move on from, but if now maybe he's interested in moving on, and you look around and you think that actually there's an upgrade that, you weren't going to act to cause it. You weren't going to go fire Jason Kidd. Nothing that he has done on, in terms of coaching the team last season warranted anything like that. But if he's interested in going, and now all of a sudden you're wondering if there is a better option out there, a lot of dynamics, A lot of dynamics to consider here.
It is. Marc Stein also saying in his reporting, quote, also unclear how Dallas would ultimately respond to the Knicks phone call. The Mavericks could certainly swat away the Knicks' request for permission, but attempts this week by the Stein line to outright confirm such a posture have been unsuccessful, end quote. So that gives you the other side of the coin when it comes to the Knicks' pursuit of Jason Kidd as their head coach.
And I would imagine if Jason Kidd is staying as Dallas Mavericks head coach next season, and I do think that's still likeliest, I would imagine it doesn't get to that point. That's my guess.
Lots to continue to go over when it comes to the Knicks' pursuit of Jason Kidd and what it means for the Dallas Mavericks, which we will talk about on the other side of the break. If it actually happened, what would it mean for the Mavericks moving forward? We'll discuss it next on the DLLS Mavs podcast. But first, it is hot outside, and I know that you want a tasty treat, and I've got some for you when it comes to Wendy's and their Frosty Shop. If you love Wendy's classic Frosty flavors, we have some big news for you. There are all new Frosty Swirl and Frosty Fusion flavors you can get in either chocolate or vanilla. So it's the same creamy treat you've always loved, now with a flavor refresh as well. So what are those new flavors, Bobby Carell? Well, thank you for asking. Okay, we've got the Frosty Swirls, strawberry, brownie batter, and caramel or caramel if you choose.
That Pop-Tart one is banging.
The Pop-Tart one is good. The Oreo brownie one is my personal favorite. You got bits of Oreo in there as well with the Frosty, but you got the Oreo brownie, you got the caramel crunch, and the Pop-Tart strawberry one as well. You can still get your classic ones, your vanilla and your chocolate ones as well, but you can try them all at your favorite Wendy's. Are you going to try the strawberry swirl? Are you a strawberry swirl guy?
I'm all in. I
You're
love a strawberry.
Okay.
I love swirls.
Oh, DLLS swirls. Well, anyway, whether you're craving, odds are we've got a Frosty for you. So clock in for a sweet treat anytime, including midnight or later with Wendy's all new Frosty flavors, a fresh refresh or on a classic. Got to be Wendy's at participating U.S. Wendy's. Hours may vary by location.
The wind chill today is like 150. The wind chill. I wish it was a wind chill. It's more like a heat index because, my God, it is sweltering. And the hotter it gets, the more you sweat. And guys, I'm not just talking about your pits. I'm talking about, Craig Ludwig, your balls, your butt cracks, your grundles, your belly, your under your moobs. You're sweating everywhere. You're stinky everywhere. Our friends at Mando will get you smelling right, and you will stay smelling right. 12 hours after a shower, you're still smelling good. That's what the scientists found. Mando Starter Pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, and free shipping. As a special offer for listeners, new customers get $5 off Starter Pack with our exclusive code, which is more than 40% off your pack. Use code DLLS at shopmando.com. Again, DLLS at shopmando.com. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Smell fresh or stay dry and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando.
Tanner, get out of the chat, by the way. Get out of the chat, Tanner.
Dude is like addicted to not vacationing.
Kind of like, well, never mind.
You have a day off, man.
Enjoy it.
Go away, Tanner.
Tanner says, hey, John, if you see this, sorry I had you cover for me the same day the Stars fired Pete DeVore and you had to do an emergency.
Yeah,
pod.
Everyone send T's and P's to producer John. That dude has had a day, and it is not over anytime soon.
Shout out to our guy, John, hanging out with us here on the DLLS Mavs podcast as well. Wow, John. Good gracious, man. What if it actually happens with the New York Knicks hiring away Jason Kidd? Let's get into some of that here because we have fresh reporting from our very own Marc Stein that the Knicks will seek permission to talk to Mavericks head coach Jason Kidd about their head coaching vacancy after they fired Tom Thibodeau after 5 years with the New York Knicks, and the Knicks making the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time since the year 2000. Of course, Jason Kidd led the Dallas Mavericks to the NBA Finals a year ago. Now has potentially an opportunity to go east to rejoin Jalen Brunson, who, of course, is the franchise right now for the New York Knicks. So, Bobby Curley, what happens if Kidd actually leaves to go to New York? What could that possibly mean for the Mavericks here?
So the only way, if I'm GM, if I'm in charge of this, the only way that I am allowing the Knicks to interview Kidd and allowing them to hire him and then agreeing to trade him is if I'm getting Washington's 2026 first-round pick from the Knicks. Now, it is protected 1 through 10. Odds are very high that Washington is going to be terrible again next year, and so odds are that pick will not convey. If it does not convey, meaning if it falls between 1 and 10 in the draft order, it becomes a second-round pick in 2026 and a second-round pick in 2027. So the Mavs would essentially be getting 2 second-rounders from the Knicks with a very small chance of getting a first-round pick instead. That is the only way I'm doing it. The Knicks have traded a lot of their own second-round picks already. The only one that they own that they can trade themselves is in 2027. And even then, they have some that are like really complicated swaps where you're getting them from good teams. All those second-rounders are garbage. The Wizards' first-round pick can become 2 pretty good second-rounders. I would do it for that. Otherwise, it is no deal. That would be my one condition. Otherwise, look, I mean, I believe Jason Kidd is a pretty good coach. I recognize that especially superstars, but even the role players enjoy playing for him. I covered the Mavs for a long time whenever they had a tactical genius as a head coach that a lot of the players didn't really like that much. And that's very well chronicled in a book that we talked about on our podcast recently. I recognize the value in having a guy like J. Kidd. I like J. Kidd. He was one of my favorite players growing up. Like, there's a lot of good things I could say about him. But players play, and their players are way more important than the coaches. Coaches coach. You can find a new coach. If J. Kidd really wants out, and if the Knicks are offering that pick to you, then make it happen. But otherwise, not interested.
Another interesting caveat, Tim Cato, to add to this from Marc Stein's reporting. When it comes to the Mavericks and some of their assistant coaches, the Spurs have interest in hiring Sean Sweeney as an assistant coach. The Grizzlies recently interviewed Mavericks assistant Jared Dudley, for an assistant coaching job as well. So Kidd could be looking around at his coaching staff and thinking some of the most trusted on his staff may not be here with him next year anyway. Maybe another reason why to think Jason Kidd would want to potentially pursue an opportunity to go to New York, because he may not have the individuals that he's had with him over the last several years come with him potentially to New York. So just another interesting wrinkle when it comes to Kidd and this potential pursuit from the next year.
Yeah, and we'll see. We'll see. You know, Sean Sweeney is the lead assistant. Obviously, any lead assistant is going to go take a head coaching job. But a lot of times, you know, and I don't think this is a situation where Sean Sweeney looks at the Mavericks themselves and, you know, yes, there's stuff behind the scenes. Like, clearly there's been some turmoil in this organization. But Sean Sweeney and Jason Kidd have also been connected for a long time now. It would surprise me. It wouldn't shock me. I don't know. I don't know exactly, you know, where he's at. But it would surprise me if, you know, maybe Dallas has to pay him a little bit more. But I don't see that as, you know, I would be very surprised if Sean Sweeney left Dallas for not a head coaching job at some point. Now, if Jason Kidd left, you do get to the question of, oh my God, who would Dallas hire? Like, something that we weren't even thinking about, you know, before, you know, up until this week. And there are a lot of veteran coaches on,
some terrific,
you know,
names
out of
out
jobs.
there.
So that definitely makes it a little bit easier that you at least have, you know, safe fallback plans. But I don't know. I don't know if this would be a situation where Kidd would go on and then all of a sudden, you know, as asked in the chat, would Sean Sweeney be the obvious candidate to replace him? I don't know. I think that, you know, Jason Kidd is, you know, he's not being Jason Kidd at this point, you know, to make it very clear, he's not being propped up by his assistant staff. You know, I think Sean Sweeney, by all accounts, is a smart basketball coach who's well respected around the league. But, you know, so is Jason Kidd, and a lot of the success that a lot of the coaching success Dallas has in terms of, you know, just elevating its defenses for a couple different postseason runs beyond even, you know, what is probably the sum of the parts. You know, that's a staff-wide thing. You know, it's not any one person, and it's certainly not you know, people behind Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd is just as responsible for that as anybody. You know, so it'd be really interesting. It'd be really interesting to see, you know, if Nico does have an idea of who his type of head coach is, because this whole time, you know, at least for the first few years of these two working in tandem, the idea was Jason Kidd was that type of guy.
Two things real quick. One, I don't know if I'm trusting a rookie head coach in a situation that is kind of a ticking time bomb. Roster is old. GM is openly saying in 3 years he's out of here. That's a pretty tough ask. as much as retreads would bother me, although I did like Ethan Melton suggests Phil Jackson as the replacement. I would love that. I think that would be great if we could get Phil in here.
Jason Kidd did go talk to Phil Jackson
for one last ride with the old Zen master. Two, it is interesting that assistants are interviewing for assistant jobs. Usually assistants don't leave for lateral positions unless they have a good reason to. Those guys know the deal. Now, I think earlier in his career, and based on some of the stories I've heard, Kidd rightfully kind of earned a reputation as sort of this like Machiavellian operator. I don't really think that there's anything untoward about the way that he's acting now if he really is interested in this Knicks job. Coaching, you get hired to get fired as a coach. Pete DeBoer just got canned. Took his team to 3 straight conference finals in 3 years. He got shown the door.
Tibbs just got fired for taking the Knicks to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, you're gonna get fired. I mean, that's just how it goes. And so, making yourself number one is the only way to act. Like that is the only way to continuously get a job. And so, I have no problem with him doing that, especially if there is reason to believe that Nico might not be out in 3 years. Nico might be out in 1 year. Like it's unclear what the situation between him and Patrick Dumont is. It's unclear how much stability there is, and whoever the next GM is going to want their own head coach. I guarantee.
I think it's pretty clear there's not a lot of stability in terms of the people who like this after the way it went. If Dallas is not good next season, and they have a lot of asterisks and reasons why, Kyrie missing half the year or more is an enormous asterisk. And I still think that we're at a point where next season and the results of next season, and if the double big lineups don't work, if Dallas doesn't do enough to find creators to fill in and to help out when during this very long stretch that Kyrie isn't going to be available for them, I think there's a lot resting and riding on that. And Patrick Dumont at this point seems pretty clear. He's running everything back. He wants to keep it going. But Cooper Flagg only accelerates the timeline. It gives you a lot of options.
It's like one fewer excuse to fail.
Yeah, accelerates the timeline isn't right. It gives you an out. And even if you go into next season trying to win in this 3-year window, you still have an out with Cooper Flagg now that he's on the roster. You have a future. Before this, if Dallas had blown up this whole idea, this whole 3-year window, this team that they built, they had blown it up. There wasn't much salvation to be found. There wasn't much of a, there just wasn't going to be a good way to, not go through this very, years-long dark period without picks where the team was going to be bad, but, they didn't really have anything to look forward to. Cooper absolutely changes that. It makes things, just more serious.
And it would take like an act of God to break up what the Knicks have going on with all of the family ties in and out of that organization. So as basketball situations go, that one seems pretty stable, whereas the one down here, who knows?
And that to me is massive because money is not going to be an object here when it comes to the decision that Jason Kidd is going to make. He's getting paid $10 million a year. He's got 2 years left on an extension that pays him $20 million over those 2 years. The Knicks just fired Tom Thibodeau and gave him $30 million to go away. Money is not going to be a decision here when it comes to what happens. Now, Kidd would obviously, I would think, get a raise if he went to New York to take that job because of everything that comes with it.
And cost of living.
And, yeah, the cost of living alone, exactly, is going to make sure that you get a raise in New York. But to me, this is about the opportunity that's in front of Jason Kidd right now. Do you go into door number one into a season where you, yes, have the number one pick in Cooper Flagg, you will not have Kyrie Irving for potentially half the year, and obviously the pressure to win right now in a situation where the GM could be out at the end of this upcoming season? Or do you go to a situation in New York where it's a little bit easier in the East to potentially find the path to the NBA Finals? You've got your franchise point guard, and oh, by the way, there's a big carrot out there in Milwaukee who might want to come play in New York for you, knowing the kind of relationship that you have there. And on top of that, there are a lot of stable relationships already in New York that Jason Kidd has, particularly one that keeps his players healthy if he were to go there, and Casey Smith and his training staff, who just won Trainer of the Year in the NBA. So there's a lot of things from a pros and cons standpoint. If you're Jason Kidd, you think, if I'm going to go down the self-preservation road, New York looks like a pretty good option given everything that's there, but also the pressure to win in New York would be immediate for him to try to outdo what
pressure to win here.
I mean, it is
self-imposed,
but that gets. I mean, come on, it's New York. That gets ratcheted up 10 times.
Maybe
coaching that franchise.
Maybe. I mean, if they get Giannis, I'm probably the world's biggest Giannis and Brunson combo fan. That team would set the record for fewest passes per game. All right, that would be an incredible shot hunting team between those two and Cat. Before we go to break, I think we need to set ourselves up for a frosty take for next week.
Okay.
How does this situation end with Kidd and the Knicks? KG.
I think Jason Kidd goes to New York.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I do.
I think he ends up getting a 1-year extension and stays in Dallas.
Okay. I think that he stays here and gets a little bit of a raise and maybe an extra year. Yeah. But I don't know. With each passing moment, I'm getting more on the red shirt team.
This is a very real thing.
And again, the fact that the Mavericks have not shut this down immediately. Marc Stein's reporting has said that the Rockets would shut it down if the Knicks called. In fact, they have already shut it down.
That's a PR thing, though.
I get it, but also if you believe this is your guy, you would come out today or 2 days ago and say, no, if the Knicks call us, Jason Kidd, you're not going to get the chance to interview for this job. The fact that we are still here and it hasn't been shut down, to me, is very interesting.
And again, what a different franchise does and how they handle their business, that's one thing. To me, it's last year, this exact same scenario happened. And Dallas was instant about it. And the circumstances were different. At that point, obviously the extension had been earned for Jason Kidd. But it's a very, very remarkably, notably different situation. And Dallas's response and how they're handling this as a franchise is absolutely different than when this happened. When this exactly happened. Just this time 1 year ago.
Well, give me some Mando and a Frosty. Because, boys, it's heating up.
Let's take our next break here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. A little more on this, but also let's get into game one of the NBA Finals. As the Indiana Pacers, the Cardiac Pacers, did it again, SGA, as they win on the road against OKC. We'll dive into that next on the DLLS Mavs podcast.
Just like your favorite team needs a home court advantage, your home needs a home floor advantage, and Empire Today can help you get it. Empire Today has flooring experts, dedicated flooring professionals. Focus on flooring every single day of their lives. We don't even focus on the Mavericks every single day of our lives. Sometimes on a Saturday, I forget about them. Like,
oh, wow.
Well,
I could never.
Yeah, I'm sure Bobby focuses.
Top of mind all the time.
Bobby, the way Bobby focuses on the Mavericks is the way that Empire Today focuses on flooring, which is to say that you can trust them. They're the best in the business. They live and breathe flooring, and they're going to be with you every step of the way. It's a whole different ballgame with Empire Today. They're flooring experts. They'll bring the showroom right to your home. So you should schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are just better at home. DLLS listeners can receive a $350 discount when using promo code DLLS. Yes, you heard that right. A $350 discount with code DLLS. Restrictions apply. Visit EmpireToday/DLLS for full details.
It's game time here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. If you love going to concerts, sporting events, anything that you want to go to, you got to use Game Time to get your tickets. With Game Time Picks, it allows you to filter out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. I'm going to the Wings game tonight as they host the Los Angeles Sparks. I was able to use Game Time to get my tickets. They got all in pricing, so I knew exactly what I was going to pay before I got to check out. And they got panoramic seat views, so I knew exactly where I was going to sit before I checked out as well. I don't know what's funny, but we're going to find out. With Game Time, make sure that you are able to take the guesswork out of buying your tickets and doing so with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code DLLS for $20 off your first purchase. Remember, terms apply. Again, create an account and use code DLLS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it, gentlemen?
Game time. We still have 7 more seconds to go.
It's time to game.
It is time for
game.
It's time for games. It's time for ticket buying.
It's game o'clock.
It's now game o'clock. Appreciate all of you hanging out with us here on the DLLS Mavs podcast as well. We'll get to some of your other super chats here in just a moment. There's one thing I did want to make sure that we touched on before we get to what happened in game 1 of the NBA Finals last night, because I think it's important to think about. If Jason Kidd if we were to believe the reporting of Marc Stein in terms of the idea that the Mavericks want Jason Kidd to be their head coach when it comes to Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis, and they want him to be there. And if Jason Kidd does decide to go to New York, what would that mean potentially for Kyrie Irving, for example, who has got a $43 million player option that he has to decide on coming up here in 18 days. Obviously, Anthony Davis has a contract extension kicking in this upcoming year as well. What could that mean for the future of those two gentlemen, given how much they love Jason Kidd? But he would not be their head coach if he were to leave, obviously. To go to New York.
Playing the world's smallest violin for Anthony Davis if he gets sad about that. He's about to make $180 million. You're going to be fine, dude. I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, it seems pretty clear that these guys are rallying around how last season went, that they want the chance. They think it's going to work, which of course they do. Like any player in that circumstance is going to, they think it's all going to work out, and they want to prove it, and they want to show everybody who doubts that they're going to prove it. So I think if Nico is going to give them that opportunity, then I don't expect anything to change. I think whether Jason Kidd leaves or stays, even if he leaves, I don't think that the Mavericks are, roster-wise, are going to look any different next season.
I do think it is kind of important to say part of the reason that I feel so indifferent about it is because, kind of what we talked about in the last segment, like Nico has said this is a 3-year thing, and then after that, like, we're all gone anyway. It doesn't even matter. And so if there is this sort of like nihilism existing beyond the next 3 years, then I just don't really care. I know that we're going to have to live through the next 3 years, obviously. Like, we're going to be watching and talking about the team every weekday, Monday through Friday, and then every pregame, every postgame for the next 3 years. That's a lot. That's 1,000 days of my life are going to be given to something that's going to be over on day 1001. But for that reason, I just don't really care. The general manager, the team architect, has said, we're not building anything. The building is done. In fact, we're going to break it down, and I won't be here for that. So it's like I don't care if the players that the GM wants on the team are happy about the coaching decision the GM makes. It just doesn't matter because none of these guys are going to be around 3 years from now.
Yeah. And we don't know that with Jason Kidd, but like I get the sense that Jason Kidd is not looking to be Cooper Flagg's coach for life. That's not the sense. Obviously this situation that he's interested in is another win now situation. It really feels like the majority of people in charge, the most important people in the Dallas Mavericks organization, aside from Patrick Dumont, the team governor, and Cooper Flagg, pretty much the majority of everybody involved, it really feels like is on short timelines. They want to do stuff now, and we'll see. A lot of this obviously does come down to what Jason Kidd wants and what his future is. What he feels his future is in Dallas. Is he just trying to go get he spent 4 seasons here. Could get a 5th. But there is a real possibility no matter what he does that his 5th is his last. It's possible. This is the scenario that Dallas is in. And so if he sees 5 more years in New York and that just being a better option, a cleaner option, that could be one motivation. Is it a scenario where I don't know. What does he want? What does he want right now? What is he looking for? Clearly it's not, it's not Dallas, only Dallas.
Sure.
It's not like, this situation is perfect. It's awesome. It's set up for success. Everything is great here. I think if there's anything that this news really hammers home is the fact that it's not. That, it's obviously a much better situation now that Cooper Flagg is here. But it's not a perfect situation. Sure. And I don't think that's a surprise, but this is further reinforcement of the point that even high-profile people within the organization, even people like the head coach, don't feel like it's a perfect situation.
The next 18 and 19 days will be extremely important as however this plays out with Jason Kidd and the Knicks and the Dallas Mavericks, it will have to come together fairly quickly because we mentioned Kyrie Irving's player option that he has to exercise by June 24th. And, oh, by the way, June 25th, the Mavericks will be taking Cooper Flagg. So a lot to decide over the next 18, 19 days. By that point, the NBA Finals will be over with and we will have crowned a champion. And it could be the Indiana Pacers. After last night, they get a 111-110 win over the Oklahoma City Thunder. Tyrese Halliburton's jumper with 0.3 seconds left delivers a 15-point comeback in the fourth quarter for the Indiana Pacers, and they do it again, this time to take a 1-0 lead in the NBA Finals as the Indiana Pacers, gentlemen, continue to shock the NBA world with not just the terrific comebacks, but Tyrese Halliburton delivers in the clutch yet again as Rick Carlisle and the Indiana Pacers steal home court advantage in the NBA Finals to start off this series.
What a game, dude.
That was a lot of fun.
What a game.
Brilliant basketball game last
Yeah,
night.
I wish I could have watched.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Well, the markets were too small.
Population
That's right.
is too
Yeah,
low.
we went
It
over
doesn't
this
register.
yesterday. That's right,
It's one of those things where it's like the entire fourth quarter was just this struggle between every time they got close, they would blow it. And then every time OKC was about to pull away, they would blow it. And like both teams were just like, there was this tug of war between like 11-point lead and 5-point deficit. And then finally the Pacers get it to within 4 and the ball, and Miles Turner breaks a 3. And then the Pacers get it to within 1 and the ball, and they don't. And like it kept getting closer and closer and closer and closer. And it's just, oh my God, man! I don't know how they keep doing it. It is unbelievable. It is unbelievable.
It's just nuts. It's completely nuts. This team. My predictions were too. I was too cautious with them. I said by like game 3 that these teams were going to be playing small ball. But last night it was Obi Toppin closed over Miles Turner.
Casey Wallace started in the lineup for the Thunder.
Yeah, Casey Wallace started,
which I liked.
No bigs
I like
were on the floor
I don't
for
mind
the
that decision
Thunder.
at all.
In the last minute or two of the game, man, Andrew Nembhard is just that
Man.
double step back 3-pointer because he starts. He starts just saucing up Shea.
The one he hit over Shea
back.
Was incredible.
And then he
filthy.
Yeah, I believe I counted. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 crossovers, 5 through his leg, the last one out in front, then a pound
dribble at the end.
And that's all with a step back and then step back and shoot and make.
Yeah.
But he had already stepped back. He had already got Shea off balance. That's one of the coldest shots I've ever seen. Of course, Tyrese just kept driving right. And I'm like, eventually,
I don't think I've ever seen him drive right to go hit that jumper. I've never seen him go and hit that jumper.
Didn't
before.
look super comfortable doing it too, but it's like, who cares, man? He just make it. It doesn't matter.
Like, how are you going to get space there? Like the entire time he's driving, it's like
because
there's people in the way. There's people in the way, and then all of a sudden there's just opening. And he's
the real thing on that play is, first off, Pacers don't call timeout. Great decision. Love whenever teams don't do that because OKC looked really confused. Casey Wallace ends up on Halliburton. Caruso is on, I believe it's Siakam that's on the same side of the floor. So it's basically Halliburton right wing, Siakam kind of this wing corner area. And Caruso is kind of looking at both guys. And he kind of makes the decision to go double Halliburton. But right as he does that, Siakam cuts to the basket. And Caruso's like, oh. And so he leaves. So he can't double him. So just great awareness. I thought Siakam had a really good game, even though his numbers, I mean, what did he finish with, 19 points or something? I thought he was awesome.
I mean, nobody had 20.
He did lead them in
nobody
scoring.
had 20. Pacers.
I think, this is overreaction Friday here. We sure Chet Holmgren should be starting?
He was not
sure
effective defensively, especially last night.
I thought Hartenstein came in and kicked Thomas Bryant's ass. I thought he was really good. I mean, he wasn't out there very long, but I thought he was really good.
I don't know why Hartenstein didn't play more.
Yeah.
I mean,
most expensive screener in the game today.
Yeah.
Hartenstein.
It's interesting to me.
Yeah. By the way, there have been 3 fourth-quarter comebacks of 15 points or more in the NBA Finals since 1971. 2 of them have been engineered by teams coached by Rick Carlisle.
Interesting.
You name the first one, of course?
Yeah, obviously a great day to go back and watch Game 2.
Game 2.
One of the most exciting
NBA
nights
Finals.
of my life, honestly.
Yep. June 2nd, 2011, of course, the Mavericks win 95-93 over the Miami Heat. And then, of course, last night, the Pacers overcome a 15-point deficit in the fourth quarter to win 111-110 over the Indiana Pacers. A couple other numbers from last night's game. I found this one to be extremely wild. So the Pacers have now have a win in every round with this probability: 0.3%, 2.1%, 4.1%, and 2.6%. The odds of all 4 of those games, if you put them together, a 1 in 1.5 million chance to have won all 4 of those games. And, of course, they have found a way to do so with their heroic.
Game ain't over till it's over, man. That's what it is.
I think a math person would be like, that's not quite how it works. But I'm not a math person.
No, the odds of events with that probability happening, that is exactly how it works.
So that is.
Yeah.
But the odds of it happening is like, is this Don't you really need to be like? I guess it's the odds of like it all happening in this run by one team all at the same time.
Yeah, like they're the odds of those three things happening like one after the other. Yeah, is that low?
Yeah, I guess so. I'll concede. Like I said, I'm not a math person.
Also, check this out: the most go-ahead or game-time field goals, which means 5 seconds of fourth quarter, the final 5 seconds of the fourth quarter overtime since the 1997 playoffs. LeBron James 8, Reggie Miller 5, Tyrese Halliburton now 5, and oh, by the way, 4 of those have come this postseason. So I don't know if he is a superstar or not, Stephen A. Smith, but damn it, he's playing like one. In this postseason is Tyrese Halliburton because he has come up clutch time and time again. Pacers take a 1-0 series lead. They will play game 2 on Sunday in Oklahoma City, where the Pacers will look to get greedy to try to take the first 2 games. OKC will try to even up the series at 1 game apiece before that series moves back to Indiana. Let's take our final break here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. When we come back, some news on who the Mavericks could be working out next week, and as well as this particular Kevin Durant trade a thing. We'll talk about it next on the DLLS Mavs podcast.
But first, Die Hard time. You know the drill. Scan the QR code beneath me, click the link in the description below, or go to alldlls.com, where currently for $4 buckaroos a month over the course of a year, that is 48 doll hairs, you can sign up to become a diehard. When you do, you get a whole bunch of stuff. First off, you get a free shirt of your choice. We got more than 40 to choose from. You get a discount on any other gear you could want. And oh, by the way, we're running a deal right now. The Ball Knower. There we go. The Ball Knower bonus. Who is going to win the NBA Finals? You can predict who's going to win Game 2. If you're a hockey fan, you can predict who's going to win Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Final. And if you place an order, if you activate that Ball Knower bonus and then you place an order on the site and spend at least $25, if you get your call right, you get a gift card for that amount to use on the site the next day. So you can go get a bunch of free gear if you want. If you think you know ball, Tyrese Halliburton probably broke some diehards' hearts last night, and I apologize to each and every one of you. You also get to join the DLS Diehard Discord Lounge, a great place to hang out with your fellow diehards. You get to read the website, alldlls.com, where Tim's going to be bringing you some draft and free agency good. I'm sure Sam Nestler is all over this Pete DeBoer situation already and is going to be chronicling the Stars coaching search. We got mandatory OTAs starting for the Cowboys next week, so we're going to have Joe and Clarence on that beat covering that. And then Jeff Wilson, fiasco after fiasco with the Rangers. The latest blow, Kumar Rocker, being sent down to AAA.
Damn.
No! He's covering all of that. And also, we're going to Vegas if you want to join the DLS Cowboys crew in November for Cowboys at Raiders on Monday Night Football. November 15th through 18th, we're heading out to the desert. Go hang out with us, party, have a good time, celebrate. Hopefully, the Cowboys win responsibly with a bunch of diehards in Vegas. So many reasons to become a diehard. These are just a few. Thanks to each and every one of us, of you, for supporting us.
Appreciate all of you tuning us in right now on DLLS Sports. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe while you're here, and join the over 26,100 strong that have already subscribed to DLLS Sports. You can also download and subscribe to our podcast wherever you get your podcast for free. Just give it a 5-star rating and write a review for it while you're there. And then make sure
real quick. Playmakers, loyal viewer, loyal chatter. I'm not saying the window is 3 years. The GM is saying the window is 3 years.
Like he literally said that.
Yeah, he has said that many, many, many times.
That's right.
Yeah, and my stance is they should go for it now, because in the modern NBA, if you have talented... Now, my stance is I'm not as high on the team as the team is, but I don't think tearing it down.
Yeah,
we all differ.
And winning the lottery changes the situation. Winning the lottery changes the situation.
We don't need to do it again.
Yeah, I'm not trying to relitigate the whole thing. I'm just saying, like, don't say stuff that we haven't said. The GM said that. I'm telling you what Nico Harrison has said into a microphone many times.
Let's finish up here on our show today. Don't forget to check out our DLLS Wings podcast. That will be at 3 o'clock this afternoon here on DLLS Sports, as well as the Wings get ready to host the Los Angeles Sparks tonight. I'll be in the house for that game. Looking forward to hanging out with you all. So come say hi if you are at the game tonight in Arlington. Some news when it comes to the Dallas Mavericks and who they could be potentially working out here as we get closer to the NBA draft. I'm sure you saw some video circulating over the last couple of days where Klay Thompson been working out in Miami alongside former NBA players, including a former Maverick in one Dennis Smith Jr. Now, this was first reported by @all_things_Mavs, Jimmy Crowther, who runs that account for that.
Wow, way to dox him.
What? Oh, he has his own personal one as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Pretty sure it's in his bio.
Yeah, it's in his bio as well. Yeah. He first reported this, and I was able to confirm that.
What's his address?
Wow. I mean, jeez. The Mavericks will, in fact, be working out Dennis Smith Jr. Next week, according to a league source with knowledge of the situation. So, former Mavericks guard Dennis Smith Jr. Going to get a look from the Dallas Mavericks next week here in Dallas. Any thoughts on that, gentlemen?
I like Dennis Smith. He's a very cool person. Don't think he solves anything Dallas is missing in Kyrie's absence. He's not the creator they need, but
a lot of teams have vet workouts every summer, guys that have been free agents for a while. Dennis obviously didn't play in the league last year. Mavs do this every summer. There will probably be 24 other guys that we've all heard of and played with on NBA 2K over the years. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it would be awesome if Dennis is on the Mavs, but he's not, don't get the banner ready if they sign him. Like, that's,
Yeah, if Dennis Smith is on the team,
I
next
do
year,
love Dennis Smith Jr. a lot, though.
You're basically signing him to be Dante Exum.
Not even, dude.
Yes.
Well, I don't think he's as good of a shooter as Dante Exum. Me personally speaking,
he's not as good of a point guard. I mean, that's the issue. Dennis over his career,
he's a better defensive
has consistently
player.
struggled offensively. His career high effective field goal percentage is 48%, which is really not good at all. And he did that one time 2 years ago playing for a bad team. However, his defensive stats over the last 3-4 years were unbelievably good. Like, that dude came in the NBA as a guy that was going to be a high-flying scorer that didn't give as much on defense as the coaches wanted, and then throughout his career transformed into an unbelievably badass, pesky, feisty defender. Not like Caruso level, but like that kind of guy. You just can't get him out of your pocket. And I really respect that he leaned into that. But unfortunately, the offense just hasn't quite come for him, and it's really tough to, if you're 6'1", 6'2", it's really tough to be a guy that can't really put the ball in the basket consistently, even if you are playing great defense. So, hopefully he can develop that. He's still youngish. Was he like 25, 26? Like, he's still so young.
27.
20. Oh, never mind. He's old.
28 this year.
Washed.
Yeah.
Washed.
But yeah, I don't know if his defense. Even in the Dante Exum comparison, I think Exum is so much more better on offense than Dennis Smith is better defensively than Exum is.
Yes, the NBA draft just 19 days away in New York, where the Mavericks, of course, are expected to take Cooper Flag. So a lot of things to take place between now and then, including if Kevin Durant could be on the move. Before we get to that, let's get to a couple of our other super chats that we haven't gotten to yet, John, real quick, before we finish up here. Matthew Hooks with the $2 super chat. Let Kid and Nico go. Trade the vet. Start the rebuild. They're ready
extreme.
They're ready to tear it all down and just start over with Cooper Flag. There's a school of thought.
It's all different if you have your picks. They don't have their picks. There's no point in blowing it up, I don't think.
Right.
Brian Roby with the $9.99 super chat. Kid gone equals Nico, Kyrie, and AD too.
A heartbroken emoji with Kyrie, too. I would be devastated if Kyrie's ever not on the Mavs.
Rebuild around Cooper Flag and Lively, baby. I'm all in on this approach, though I would miss Kyrie.
I don't think that's correct. Just based off.
Damn, Tim is like, get lost, nerd.
Well, I don't think Kid leaving means Nico, Kyrie, and AD are that specifically. It just if they're all aligned, then this would already be shut down. The fact that it's not shut down means that clearly, what Kyrie and AD feel about the situation, like you said, they might not love it, but they're under contract. I mean, obviously Kyrie is able to become a free agent, but to what end, to what extent? Like what other organization is out there that is going to give him, more than he could opt into, much less probably re-sign or sign for with this franchise. So no, I think that Kid could leave, and I still expect that this situation to look pretty close to what it is now.
I think it's a good point you bring up. like Kevin, you had said earlier in the show, like if Kyrie and AD really like Kidd, like what would it mean for them? I think if they like Kidd enough to be like, we've got to play for him, then the Mavs would have shot it down. Like the fact that they haven't means probably not that big of a deal. Or maybe it is. I guess time will tell. You'll have to tune in on Monday's DLLS Mavs podcast to find out.
Woo! It's been a hell of a Friday news dump already, and it's not even 1 o'clock in the afternoon yet. As we finish up here on the show today, could another superstar be on the move? Kevin Durant of the Phoenix Suns. Could he land in Los Angeles with the Clippers? Could he land in San Antonio with Bobby's San Antonio Spurs?
Or my Spurs? I've never said anything. I hate them so very much.
I got the rouse I was looking for. Or could he wind up, Jalen Brunson, in New York with the New York Knicks? Where do we think Kevin Durant's going to land? Because clearly he's not going to be in Phoenix next year. Where do we think Kevin Durant is going to land?
It'd be pretty funny if he got stuck in Phoenix.
That'd be funny.
The whole team that apparently doesn't want.
I'm good.
A team that apparently doesn't want Bradley Beal. I saw a funny report that apparently Charlotte might be interested in the idea of bringing Bradley Beal in, which I'd say
that would be awesome.
Sending Bradley Beal to the shadow realm of Charlotte would be insane, given where his career arc has.
They don't even have. I don't even know if they can do that. They don't even have money.
I don't even know, but Bradley Beal getting paid over $50 million in the year of our Lord 2025 is insane. But that's where the Phoenix Suns are with his contract. But where does Kevin Durant land this offseason?
Minnesota.
Ooh, Ant-Man and Kevin Durant together.
That's my call.
The idol.
That feels pretty likely, honestly. It's
you sending Julius Randle to the land of the Valley of the Sun?
Maybe some 3-team something. Who knows?
Something big.
Yeah, it would have to be Randall and then Randall and McDaniels or Randall DiVincenzo or Randall Conley something.
It's just really tough. I mean,
Dillingham in there.
If Kevin Durant was a free agent, 29 teams should be interested in him. You're trading for a 37, 38-year-old.
37.
And
$54 million.
36 right
50, making $54 million. And, you're doing that. Look, title windows don't last as long as you think they do. And just because Anthony Edwards is 23 does not mean that, you should go get the players and you're going to be a dynasty for a decade. That's not how it works. You should go for it. Minnesota is a team that should go for it. But there's still a level of, if you're signing for a guy to create a very short-term window and it's going to be a short-term window and you're trying to compete on, like, how much are you willing to give up for that? So, I wonder what the compensation, what the package, what that trade actually ends up looking like.
And also, are you willing to give Kevin Durant a contract extension when you trade for him? Because he is going to be entering the final year of his 4-year, $194 million deal where he will make $54.7 million in his age 37 season, which means he'll be an unrestricted free agent after the end of this upcoming season. Are you willing to give him an extension if you trade for him as well? Because I would imagine if you do trade for KD, you would want to sign him to maybe a 2 or 3 year contract extension. Maybe how the Warriors did with Jimmy Butler. They gave him a 2-year extension when they traded.
I think in order to sign guys to extensions, you have to give them a raise. There's no way that someone will be paying KD $60 million when he's 40. Like, there's just no way. There's no way.
Yeah, and it's just
or if KD even wants to play that long. Like, I don't know how long he wants to play.
Yeah, KD's awesome. Clearly, as evidenced by the Phoenix Suns over the past few years, he is not he's not one of the superstars who can elevate a team to the playoffs by himself. And I think if you continue down that line of thought, I think he makes your team better because let's say he's in Minnesota, all of a sudden a lot of shots that were,
or New York next to Brunson, that would be interesting.
Yeah, but so Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Jaden McDaniels, a lot of the shots of them, shooting corner threes or trying to create for themselves turn into Kevin Durant shots, and that's a good thing for your offense. But I don't think he's at this point of his career, I don't think he's the elevating force that is singularly going to, transform what you do.
In a lot of ways,
obviously still really good.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, he's the same position as LeBron James. LeBron James is not going to be the guy that elevates your team to winning a championship anymore. He needs some help in what he's looking at as far as his career is concerned. All that to say, gentlemen, it is going to be one hell of a summer, and we are just getting started when it comes to the NBA Finals, of course, having started last night with the Pacers taking that 1-0 series lead over the Thunder. Obviously, we mentioned the NBA draft coming up in 19 days. Kyrie Irving's got a free agent decision that he's got to make here in 18 days. And the Mavericks might be having to look for a new head coach in between all that time. as well when it comes to their coaching situation. No shortage of news that we will be bringing you throughout the course of this offseason. Our guy Marc Stein will be back with us next week here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. He will have, of course, the latest when it comes to the Knicks' pursuit of Jason Kidd and whether the Mavericks will shut that down, as well as other league happenings as we continue here in the offseason. That's already been almost 2 months for us already as far as the Dallas Mavericks are concerned. So there you go. You guys ready for your weekend?
Let's do it.
Yes.
Let's do it.
Let's go.
Appreciate our guy, John Anderson, hanging out with us here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. Thank you for making us look good and sound good. Appreciate you, sir. That is our Mavericks analyst, Bobby Krell. That is our Mavericks beat writer, Tim Cato. I'm your host, Kevin Gray. We are DLLS Mavs. We'll talk to you next week on Monday at 12 p.m. right here on DLLS Sports. Y'all enjoy your weekend. We'll talk to you later. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.